Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big League Breakdowns. Today, we are going to revisit the NL playoff picture. My name is Tyler, joined as always by John, Will, and Bobby. And fellas, we talked about the wild card picture as a whole the other day. Not the other day, it's our last episode. And things have changed already pretty quickly, especially on the NL side, the NL wild card to be specific. And I would like an apology for saying that the Giants were out of it and now they're back.
You
Will,
get
you
no
have that
apology.
apology? I'm just saying I brought it up and Will said, they're out of it. And look,
The man wasn't even here for that episode, and you're like,
I was gonna say I don't remember this exactly. Was it the episode I wasn't here
I don't
for?
even remember.
yeah,
Now,
it
now
was
I'm
the
just
episode he
confused.
wasn't
I
here
mean, I
for.
will say
Why is he
this.
catching strays? Like, damn.
Because
Sorry,
apparently I wasn't
know.
here to defend
Man
myself.
wasn't even at the scene of the crime, and he's a suspect. Damn.
Because the thing I always think about is how a week ago my thoughts were, oh, look, there's a chance that the Padres could finish in the sixth seed. And now it's like, oh, the Mets suck.
Yeah, the Mets suck, and I feel like we should talk about them first because what we
bring on
love,
the shit
hate,
show
we
first.
exactly. You know what? I just bashed Will. I think I'm gonna give him a nice gift, and we'll bash on the Mets for a few minutes to start it off.
Few
And
minutes. This is going to be the episode. Forget the other three teams
I was
The-
going
that
to
are
say.
somewhat
the-
fighting.
the Mets have allowed three teams to get back into the picture, seemingly out of nowhere. We were talking about the Mets, 2 weeks ago, about how they could potentially win the NL East if they had won their series against the Phillies. That is not happening. They are awful, and there is not much good to be said right now. And they really are in danger of missing the playoffs, which would be a huge, blow to what their expectations were when they signed Juan Soto this offseason. Well, what has continued to go wrong for them as we progress through the month of September?
The main thing that's gotten wrong, I think everyone is very much aware of right now, and how their pitching is a flaming pile of dog shit. I mean, they've been bad for a while.
All right. Is it at least in a brown paper bag? Like, jeez.
No.
Is it just
This is
sitting
like-
on the porch?
It's just on the curb, like, dude.
Oh,
you
well, at
were
least
like
on the curb.
like you got out of the car, you thought you could run inside, you took one step and it just came out. Like
Oh, man.
the Met,
Oh, man.
Jesus
like-
Christ.
Wow. The Mets have the runs, to say the least, on this one, huh?
I mean, they are bottom 5 in baseball overall pitching wise since the beginning of September. And their starting pitching ERA is over 5. Their bullpen ERA is over 6.
So in
Like-
other words, what you're telling me is that the Mets are serving up dingers like their buttholes are serving up dookies.
I mean, they at least didn't stand out of. Why are you looking at my camera? Go to the 4 screen.
Like, we gotta get a grip, fellas. Like, my God, I know it's fun to joke about the Mets, but
So-
my
I can't
goodness.
see
I
this.
mean, all right, all
My
right.
wife just walked in and she's like, "What did you just say to me?"
All right. You should just, at this point in the episode, just put up the screen that's just like technical error, whatever, just in the middle of us laughing.
Yeah. All right, there's some
But
editing
no,
there,
so
Bobby.
all right. So trying to somewhat wrangle this back in. The Mets as a whole offensively have been really good, even though I know there was the stretch near the end of July where it looked like they couldn't hit a baseball off a tee. But in the second half, especially, they've actually become one of the better teams in the National League offensively. Yet, because of how bad their pitching is, their record since the All-Star break is 22-31, which is 27th in baseball. And this isn't just like a recent thing. I know it's been tossed around online, but in their last 81 games, they are 32-49. So that's back to like June 13th, which is second worst in the National League, third worst in baseball. But the one thing that I do think is interesting out of all this is I could talk about how bad the offense or how bad the pitching has been, how at least at times facing the offense, like one day they'll get 4 hits and 1 run, the next day they'll get 12 runs. is that when you look at their pitching stats for the last month, while their team ERA is 5.68, their FIP, so fielding independent pitching, is 4.16. There's nearly a point and a half difference, which tells me that what's going on is a whole lot worse than just the pitching. It's just defense is not the same. I know Francisco Lindor is having a very down year to what his standards are. This season, we know Juan Soto is not the fleetest of foot in the outfield. Like, this Mets team is just giving away their playoff chance. Like, they, as I said, a week or two ago, they were like the 5th seed. They were a game up over the Padres. It looked like that maybe they could even try to give the Cubs somewhat a run for their money besides the division race with the Phillies. And now they have just absolutely tanked. And even if they go with their schedule ahead, I mean, I don't even know if they could go 500 the rest of the way.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, as you said, the pitching has been an issue, and the way I look at it is, say they do make the playoffs, it's like, who can you really rely on as your, guys that can get you innings in October? But
So
I mean,
Nolan
at this
McLean
point,
pitches every day, and only Diaz pitches
yeah,
the 9th, but only the 9th inning. If he pitches more, he'll blow it.
right. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like they basically are relying on a rookie to go out and, like, he's been their best pitcher. I don't know what their plans are with Senga. I don't know if they are they sent him down to get his confidence back for the playoffs potentially. I have no idea. But I
I think they're
think last,
grasping at straws, frankly. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And that, hi, Bryce.
Keep going. No one's interrupting you. Just keep talking.
you're muted, Bobby. Again.
He's intently listening. Let him be.
They are absolutely
I have
terrible.
thoughts that I'm not going to say.
They're absolutely terrible, frankly. This is embarrassing. You spent all this money in the offseason. You brought in Juan Soto, made him this superstar in New York, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm looking at two series that if you don't win, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and that is that Washington series and the Miami series. I don't see them winning the series between the Padres or the Cubs, so might as well just pencil those in as at least a 2-1 loss. That Washington series is the one that I'm desperately looking at of this is going to be the tell-all for this Mets season and whether or not they deserve to be in the playoffs. I could see them getting swept by the Nationals in that series and missing out on the playoffs because they are garbage.
The fact that
last
they're
year
playing at home there, I think, is okay, though. That might.
Yeah, but division. Hold on, that's a motivated division rival that is young and that is ready to really just shove it up your you know what.
Yeah, no, I agree that the Nationals could be a spoiler team, but I think the Mets right now, I mean, they're 31-44 in away games, and they have a very good record at home. Like, if they're on the road right now, you gotta cross your fingers that they can split it. And they have 3 games in Chicago and 3 games in Miami to end the season.
I don't think there's any way they can go into Wrigley and not lose 2 out of 3. And Miami is, we'll see. They might play spoilers considering that it's on the road, but I really think the Nats are going to take it to the Mets and spoil their season.
I got the perfect question for John because I know he was loving this topic last year. Last year we were talking about the Padres. So one of the things I was hearing the other day or reading, I don't know what I do anymore, was
I was hearing it, I was reading it, I backed up my sources.
I backed up my sources so that when I say it here, it's not something I pulled out of my butt, but who knows where it came from. But anyway, is that do you think the Mets have a leadership problem? Because it was saying how it thought that I think it was I was probably listening to the Rangers and Mets broadcast because I was watching that game before they walked it off in the series finale. But someone was saying how there was potentially, they thought, some sense of mixed messaging or not accurate. Or there wasn't really a true leader. Like, obviously, you would look at Lindor and Soto as the two guys, but they were saying that there are two ways of going about being a leader, I guess, were not necessarily succinct, and that it wasn't really being able to keep the Mets focused or get them on back on track when things were down. And I was just thinking about that because I know last year, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, probably last year, because it's only
It
the
was
second year of the
last year.
podcast.
It was
that
last year.
but it was all the stuff we were saying about the Padres with their
Yeah, I said they were a
lack of
selfish
leadership.
team.
Yeah, so curious what your thoughts are in that same kind of vein, but with the Mets, John.
Honestly, yeah, I think that they do have a leadership problem. I think that Juan Soto, that they were expecting him to come in and be the Aaron Judge of this team and really be able to lead them. And I don't, just because he's your best player does not mean that he's your best person to be a leader. You know, that the best players aren't always the best leaders. They could be very much a lead by example sort of thing. I don't know what the situation is uh, for Francisco Lindor, but I I get the sense with Juan Soto that he's very much it's about me and not about the team. It doesn't matter. I mean, look what he was given in his contract, given his own suite, given all these millions of dollars, which the dollars I understand, and
It's going to
they
be an
are
$800 million contract in the end.
well, I think that's well deserved from his talent aspect, but in terms of his selfishness, I think he's very much proven to be a bit of a head case. Let's put it that way. And I think this is another lost year for the Mets.
I mean, I think that the story for me is what really got the Mets to where they were last year was they got a lot of
OMG.
great, yeah, well that, but they also got a lot of great pitching from guys that aren't like these high end names, and they're just not really. Seemingly right now, they're not having the same kind of thing happen. You know, you had Severino last year, you had Quintana, and those guys really turned it on. Right now, like it really is McLean is doing it for them, and again, I don't know what their plans are for Senga, but you know, Mania has been struggling in the last little bit. Peterson's been struggling. Clay Holmes has kind of just been
Yeah, well,
average
do you
at
want to go
best.
back to what you said before, Tyler, early in the season about how the Mets coaching staff are gods at recreating pitchers
Yes.
out of the rough?
Well, yeah, it hasn't
Especially
been
like
too
look
good
at
this year.
the pieces they got into the trade. I don't have I'm gonna butcher which one this is. Tyler Rogers. I don't have his stats in front of me without just looking dumb for a minute as I search on my phone. But I know I can say how Ryan Helsley's stats are over. His ERA is over 10. So that was fantastic choice. Thank you for that one. And the Cedric Mullins deal, I know John would love to be the one that gives a rundown on that. But I think we all from a country mile could say, hey, you're trying to boost your offense. So what are you doing? Getting a player that has not done well offensively for a little bit and is not the player
Yeah.
that he was. And that's who the Mets were hoping they'd get. And it's like,
Well, here's the
congratulations. You
thing.
need to boost your offense. And at the time, and you
Well,
didn't get that from him. You need more
Well,
pitching.
here's the thing: is that I don't think they got Mullins. I don't think they brought him in for his offense. I think they brought him in for his glove, and that was a dumb reason to go get him. In all honesty,
Chicken
and it worked
noodle.
out. It worked out for our benefit, but he is a noodle arm and is not going to be throwing anybody out at the plate. And his bat, he is not the 30-30 guy that he was a couple years ago. That was a one-off season. And unfortunately, and I love Cedric Mullins. I absolutely love Cedric Mullins. I think he's one of the nicest guys in the world. But the reality is, I don't think he fits on this team. Hell, I don't even think this team fits on this team in general. I think that they have a lot of guys that are self-serving. I mean, like I said with Juan Soto, Lindor, I don't know his personality as much, but I get the sense of he's not where he needs to be in terms of the productivity. I mean, he's batting 265, but he should be batting closer to 300. Uh, Juan
Yes.
Soto
Yeah.
has 40 home runs, but you can only hit so many home runs. they have the same issue that they had back at the beginning of the season, which is they are a top heavy lineup. I'm just going to read their batting averages in general, or no, I'm going to read their OPS because I think that will tell things. At the top, you have 793, 920, and 861. That's Lindor, Soto, and Alonso in that order. And this is tonight's lineup, by the way.
Which, by
Then
the
you
way, is
have
winning 8-2. So we're shitting on them, but they're winning 8-2.
we're giving them motivation. We're giving them motivation. Then you have Nimmo, OPS of 770, batting 263. Okay, batting average is fine. Then you drop to Vientos, who's your designated hitter, by the way, which should be Soto's spot, but whatever. Batting 239 and an OPS of 724. McNeil batting 257 with an OPS 782. Beatty batting 255 with 752, and then Alvarez batting 256. It just switched on me. Sorry. Batting 256 with 767, and then you have Cedric Mullins 221, 706 OPS. This team, unless they can somehow slug their way to the World Series, they are not gonna get anywhere close. And I genuinely think that they are going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
For
I
the
mean,
record, I do some of those numbers I know are a little off. I don't have all of them in front of me, but I know like Vientos and Beatty and Alvarez, at least Alvarez for like August, we're having much better second halves than they were in the first half. But yes, they will need to outslug their pitching woes because it doesn't seem like their pitching woes are going away anytime soon.
It makes your job harder when you have to hit 10 home runs
Good.
in order to beat a team.
I'm also insulted, Bobby, that the tagline does not say "muck the Fets."
I mean, I just feel like that's a given whenever the Phillies clinch a berth.
I will say to John's point earlier about the schedule. I mean, they are, as we said, up 8-2 right now. They got San Diego, they got Washington at home, but then they got the Cubs and Miami away, and that Miami series away could get interesting just because Miami's played well this year, and I feel like that is just a spot that they could get spoiled. I want to talk about the teams that could potentially catch them at this point because I do think that there is obviously a real concern that they miss the playoffs here. The Diamondbacks, Reds, and San Fran are all within a game and a half or 2 games away from them. Out of those three teams, well, I'll kind of allow you to pick. What's the What's the scariest team out of that? And then we can kind of get into them.
So the scariest team I'd still probably give the Giants at the moment, and that's purely because of how hot the Giants have been. Like they are almost right into that narrative that's existed ever since there've been three wild card teams in each league, where they ride into the playoffs on a winning streak, and that could carry them for a bit. I mean, I think they're 14-7 since like the last week of August or something. So August 22nd. So I mean, yeah, the Giants team has started to find their form a bit offensively. And it was definitely prevalent in that game the other night that we were watching between the Dodgers and Giants. They seemed like they had it, then they were down and out, and then they clawed back, and then their pitching blew it up. Aside from the pitching, no. So I still feel like the Giants are the team that I would, that I feel like could be the scariest. They would probably be facing the Dodgers in the first round, and then after that, I mean, if they face the Phillies, I know that's actually a team that I would somewhat fear just purely because of what the Phillies numbers are against them this season and specifically at Oracle Park. As for the Brewers, that's a whole other thing because I have various thoughts about the Brewers right now. But the Giants, I think, are the scariest, and I still feel like are the most likely, even though technically they're a half game behind the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and they are in a series as we speak, recording on September 16th, and I think the series is obviously going to go a long way into deciding who ends up, potentially getting that last wild card spot, or at least giving the Mets a run for their money. I had said this on our past episode. I think it was something like They had 7 games or something against the Rockies when we last recorded. Well, they swept them the first week of September. They end their season against the Rockies. They have a series against St. Louis, which could be tough, but it is at home. Then they play the Dodgers. Excuse me. After this Arizona series, they play the Dodgers for 4 away. So I think that series right there is really what's going to determine everything. Um, granted, the Dodgers, of course, are not where they want to be in the regular season right now in terms of their successfulness, but I think that's going to be kind of the tipping point for the Giants. Like if they come out of there losing, 3 out of 4, I think the ship is probably sunk for them. But they get through that series, they at least go 2-2 or even win the series. Then they got 2 teams that are going to be missing the playoffs to finish the season, and that's obviously really enticing. And I think for them, as you said, they're playing so. I mean, they're on a little bit of a losing streak now. I think they've lost their last 3 games, I want to say. But I mean, they've been playing so well that they have that confidence that the Mets just don't have right now. Like the Mets are sputtering, and you can kind of feel that every night. And I think San Fran, I think for a while they were probably playing with house money. Of course, you have the expectations when you trade for Rafael Devers, but that they were playing so bad, they were kind of so far out of it. Now they're in the conversation. I feel like that's going to kind of lead them. John, I mean, we talked about kind of what Devers was going to bring to the team in terms of batting. The pitching has been pretty decent for them this season. But do you think they have enough to get in?
No, I don't. Honestly, that does have enough to get in, I think, is the Diamondbacks. I'm looking at their schedule. They have two
Their schedule is brutal. Oh.
I'm looking at last night, plus their upcoming teams, and I think they have what it takes to get in. I really am. I'm looking at what they've done right now. They're fifth in the NFL in the NL.
All right, welcome to the football podcast they've been talking about for a while.
In batting average, they are second in the NL in home runs, third in the NL in runs scored, and third in the NL in OPS. I'm just looking at this team and I'm looking at how hot they are. The fact they're only a game and a half out from the Mets, I genuinely think that they could play spoiler for the Giants, and I think that they can get in there because I think the Dodgers are going to be looking to rest some guys going into the playoffs. Same with the Phillies, and I expect the Padres to have the fifth spot locked up by the end of this season. So I expect the Diamondbacks to be able to take advantage of this.
I think it's going to depend on what actually happens with the NL West title. I
Well,
mean,
my whole thing is like these 3 of these 4 series are at home too.
yeah,
So
I was looking at that too. Yeah.
there's that advantage that they have as well. Plus, also what I said about teams resting guys.
Yeah, I think the Padres like that last series. So the Padres right now are 2 games back from the Dodgers. If they're still in it with a chance to win the division, obviously they're going to go for it. If they don't really have anything to play for, then they'll there is a chance that they rest guys, but they do have a tough schedule. I mean, I guess Will, from a Phillies standpoint, like there is still stuff to play for because they're trying to claim the 1 seed, but like they have a series coming up against the Phillies, and I feel like the Phillies don't have maybe you won't have that sense of urgency, but at the same time, again, I feel like they're going to want to try to get that 1 seed, despite what we say about the buy and stuff or like the buys and stuff and the seeding, whatever. I think you still play to be the best team in the league. So, I mean, they have like, to me, yes, there's 3 series at home, but it's a rough road for them. Um, but like, what stands out to you with the Diamondbacks, like, that gives them a chance to get in?
I mean, the fact that they don't have Corbin Burns, they don't have now Eugenio Suarez, they don't have Josh Naylor, and they've still been able to stay in this, I think is one thing that definitely has to, you got to tip your hat at, especially because like the starting pitching ERA has gotten better as the season's gone on, and that was something that looked like it was going to be a strength at the beginning of the season, and it wasn't for much of the first half. But I also think that we also still have to be aware that a lot of this is where it is because of how bad the Mets are. I'm not going to completely go back to the Mets on this whole thing, but like the Giants are a
But
500
it's their
team.
fault.
The
It's
Giants
all their
are,
fault.
but here's the thing: the Giants are a 500 team that have not done well in the second half, though they've had a hot stretch, and because of the Mets timing with the Mets collapse, they are now back into it. The Diamondbacks have also been a 500 team this entire season for the most part. It seemed like, and they are in it because the Mets collapse. Like we're only talking about this purely because of how bad the Mets were, but at least from the Diamondbacks sense over like the Giants, the Diamondbacks have been fairly steady. Their bullpen sucks. Their starting pitching has gotten better. And offensively, they really haven't dipped too much since the trade deadline, as they are fourth in the National League in batting average, sixth in home runs, fourth in runs scored, and fifth in OPS. But I think the schedule in the end is just too much for them to overtake the Mets. I don't know off the top of my head who has the season series right now between the Diamondbacks and the Mets. But if the Mets go 500 the rest of the way, so that would give them 83 wins. The Diamondbacks to tie them would need to go 7-5 is that or something?
Yeah.
So 7-4. And that's just, you're at one of those points now where, yes, it only is a game and a half, but the Mets have to basically lose two or three games under 500, which is very possible while the same team goes 500 or a game or so above 500. And that's where, given the Diamondbacks matchup, I applaud them for staying into it, but I don't think it'll be enough. Though it would be poetic considering it was the Mets that kicked them out of the wild card spot at the final day of the season last year.
I think, yeah, the not talked about team here is the Reds in all of this.
Because no one needs to talk about them. We made a mistake and we're moving on from it.
Well, hey, man, they're 2 games back, and I feel like, of course, the Reds are not a flashy team, and there's not as many eyes on them, but the fact that they've worked themselves back, it's just so funny to me, man. Like because it again, not ragging on the Mets, but going back to them, it's like they really
Rag on
have
them.
messed up so bad that they're allowing teams that are at 500 to have a chance when, you ask us 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, whatever, and it's like, oh, I mean, even the start of the season, of course, we're like, oh, the Mets and the Phillies going to come down to the final week of the season to see who wins the division, and the Mets have made it where it's actually a race, and you know, it's again a team like the Reds are in. I'm assuming, Will, you have no faith in the Reds to get in, or at
Nope.
least you like the Diamondbacks and Giants more. What about you, John?
Yep.
Any faith for the Reds in this one?
I don't think they're going to get in. However, they are going to be a dangerous team next year because I expect them with Terry Francona to make nothing but improvements to all of their both offensive and defensive, and especially their pitching woes from this season. So, frankly, I don't think so. I think that they're playing with house money. If they do get in, no one's expecting them whatsoever to get in, which could also make them dangerous. I will say they are five. They've won five out of their last 10. Um, you know, it can happen, but I don't expect it to happen. I I am gonna jump on the train next year with you guys more than likely,
Oh,
depending
I'm
on how
jumping
their
off the
off
train
season
next year.
goes. Depending on how their off season goes, I guess I'm gonna take Will's
Oh,
spot on
I'm
the
going
train.
straight over to Milwaukee. I
Uh,
don't care what. Bold prediction: Milwaukee wins the division next year.
Oh, such a bold prediction.
Wow. You know why they're not gonna win the division now? Because
Because
picked-
I'm putting hope in them.
Yeah, you picked them.
That's
You
the thing
believe in
too,
them.
and that's why I better like start my spoil now. Unless if I want to be smart, I should completely jump on the Brewers bandwagon now, going into the postseason. Then they'll get eliminated early.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
just whatever I
Hold on.
say, they're going to be the opposite.
Hold on, if you're gonna start your spoil wagon now, I guess for next year, then I guess you're picking the Mets to win the World Series. so that way they don't even sniff the playoffs.
I don't know how this stuff works for the Mets, but all I know is I predicted the Mets would not even make the playoffs this year, and now there's a chance. And funny enough, I'm gonna definitely be the closest out of the three of us in win record for the Mets, because I think I had them at like 87 wins, and they're going to finish even with less.
I cannot wait to go over all that again.
We're going to be digging out. If the Mets don't make this postseason, I'm going to be so happy because I was the one that said no. No one would have said the Braves, but
I think I might have got 0 correct. Like, I'm not kidding. It was
the Phillies in first.
I think this might only be a case of only one of us got 2, and I think it's me. And I think that's the winning number, winning division winners.
Yeah,
picking the right division.
I know.
Winners.
I said the Phillies and Dodgers. I said Mariners. So if the Mariners hold it out, I got it right there.
I know. I said the Tigers. I know. I said the Phillies. I know. I said the Dodgers. But I don't
Mariners would be the
think I said the Mariners. It probably will be the Mariners. You're right. You're probably right. But, I think I picked the Astros. I know none of us got the AL East. I know that much.
Not only did I not pick the division winners, I think I picked I want to say the AL Central. I picked the Royals. They're gonna miss the playoffs completely. I picked the Reds to win the division. I picked the Rangers to win the division. It is not good for me.
The only thing I'll be right about is that the Cubs got second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, looking at the NL West, there is a chance that again things could change. Do you guys see that the Dodgers losing this? They're only 2 games up. They continue to kind of struggle. Anything you think changing there? Because they also have a pretty tough remaining schedule if you look at it. Of course, the Phillies for 2 more games, and they got Seattle, Arizona, and the Giants. So, any chance?
Tyler, it's
how
worse
many of
than
that's
you thought. Holy Christ! I found your predictions. Jesus Christ!
Those Dodgers schedule,
bro. I can't even believe this. He basically got the AL East backwards. Like that's how he.
I'm still mad at myself for not sticking to my guns at times and having the Orioles. I really thought about it, but I never did.
No, I picked the Orioles to win it. I know I picked the Blue Jays to be in last.
Right. I had them in second.
But I think I got everything else right.
Tyler has the O's, the Red Sox, who also get the first wild card spot, the Yankees, the Rays, and the Blue Jays. He had the Blue Jays record at 78 and 84.
Well,
yeah, that one's. I think we all. Well, I don't want to say all of us, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know I had the.
I had them last. I know I had them last. I'm pretty sure I had.
I'm mad about the Rays because they made me feel so good about my prediction for like a month and a half in the summer, and then just that blew up.
We're gonna revisit this in another video, by the way. But
you putting the Tigers when they did is still just the saddest thing on this document. Out of everything else,
I'm crossing my fingers though, because my bold prediction was that the Tigers had the best record in the AL, and there's still a chance though. It's looking more bleak.
Yeah, they haven't been playing great. Anyway,
sorry to derail, but I couldn't let that one slide.
We are not sorry to derail. We
don't have a course of action.
What I just had to reread from March was a fucking war crime. So
hey, look, I took an off year. I wanted to give everybody a fair chance because I won last year on a technicality, of course, but I won last year. I wanted to give everybody a shot.
You won because you were better. Barely, but better.
Barely. But yeah,
Tyler is the Chiefs of this.
Don't you ever compare me to the Chiefs.
You know what Tyler's favorite play is? The tush push. Ask me about that.
That's for another podcast.
I think we were introduced as NFL at one point.
I was about to say, wait a minute, didn't we?
One of the first ever episodes of this show was a football podcast.
Yeah.
Now you know.
The more you know.
Go look back on YouTube.
Yeah. Anyway,
and while you're at it, go back and watch our other videos and click the subscribe button.
That aren't relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Gotta love a mid-episode ad read from us.
Listen, we're not monetized. We have to do our mid rolls by
Sponsored
hand.
by. Wait, the page is blank.
Yeah, you see that lower third? That's actually Bobby turning a crank.
Yeah.
Very low production value here.
He couldn't be on the screen because he's doing other
I'm
stuff.
sorry. Whoa.
He said value, not quality.
Where do we want to?
You're not valued or paid.
Where do we want to pivot here to end the episode? Anything that's pressing that we want to talk about?
Brewers are slightly overrated.
Brewing.
Wow. Brewers are slightly
that's
overrated.
a hot take. That might be.
I won't go too much into this now because it'll probably reveal itself more when we do our predictions episode. Right, our predictions episode for the postseason. All I'm going to say is while the Brewers have the best or second best record since like August 1st, that is heavily skewed by the trade deadline or by the 14-game winning streak they had right after the trade deadline, because since that 14-game winning streak they were 13-15. So they have been a fairly mid team for the last month. Now, does that mean that they're going to be eliminated immediately? That's a whole lot of other questions. You got to buy, you got to figure out who their competition might be and the way that the National League shapes up. Some competition is going to be 10. Some of them seems like it's going to be an easy one for the higher seed to bulldoze over. But the Brewers during that same stretch they're like 6-10. They don't have a winning record against the teams that are competing for the playoffs. So I think the Brewers have been pouncing on bad teams, and when it comes to teams meeting their caliber, they've not quite been able to keep up with it even during home games. And so we might get another early Brewers exit.
John, as a unbiased fan in this equation, looking at the three division leaders right now, the Brewers, Phillies, and Dodgers, who do you fear? If you were an NL team, who do you fear the most going into the playoffs? And I say that because, yes, the Dodgers having a rough regular season, but it is the Dodgers come playoff time, and it is the Brewers come playoff time. So who do you kind of fear the most out of that group?
I don't have to give the Dodgers shit.
So if I was a player, I would not want to play Philly, and I would certainly not want to play the Dodgers. Out of those three, I would rather play the Brewers. I think they have the less amount of star power pushing them forward. However, I will say this from an analytical side, I am worried that the Phillies are getting hot too soon. And I am worried that they're going to go into the bye of the first seed, or first or second seed, with being cold as ice. And I'm worried that it's going to affect them because I would really like to see the Phillies win it all, to give, one, to burn down the city of Philadelphia because it's always entertaining, and two, because just, Harper, Schwarber, Schwarber's a nice guy. So, yeah, that's something that I'm worried about. I'm also worried about that for the Mariners, but that's for the AL episode. So out of the three, I would rather play the Brewers than the other two, but that's just me.
It's funny because we were talking about how the Brewers right now are probably the most, or at least when we talked about them 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they're the most complete team. But it's funny how things change because again, they are starting to not look as dominant as they were, and now the one seed is in question.
Well,
So
I'm also
we'll
looking
kinda see.
at their playoff experience. The Brewers don't have the same amount of playoff experience that the Phillies or the Dodgers do, and the continuity that both of those teams have from making the World Series alone. In the Dodgers case, winning it, but making the World Series and going deep into the playoffs, I think will serve them well. It's whether or not that bye, like I said, really affects Philly because there's no way they're not going to get one of the first two seeds. So that part of this conversation is null and void.
I-
Um,
I mean, I think it's for Milwaukee. It's you could say postseason experience, but again, it's that stigma that everybody has about them, and maybe that they have about themselves that they can't get over the hump. And we've pounded this into the ground a million times with them.
Well,
Um,
that could be used as motivation, but in
yeah,
terms of getting further and taking that next step, I mean, that motivation might last you a game or two, but when you're going into a 5 game series in the division series, and then say you get past that, you're going into 2 7 game series with the CS and then the World Series, it's that motivation is not going to take you all the way to the promised land.
so it's motivation, but it can also be doubt as well because say a team comes in that first series and then that team takes game one in Milwaukee. I think the noise is going to start up again. Internally, there's probably going to be some doubt that here we go again, same road that we've been on. So it's like, I feel for them. It's almost like that first game in the playoffs is going to be big for them just to they have to establish themselves as look, the past is the past. We've moved on. We do have what we feel is the most complete team in the league and move forward. But I just feel like until proven otherwise, which I love to use in sports, until proven otherwise, it's just Milwaukee, it's so hard to pick them in the playoffs because they just have a bad track record, is really what it comes down to. Um, and if they're
They have not won
playing,
a playoff series since 2018.
yeah, and they could be playing some pretty good competition, of course, in the division series. So it'll be interesting. Part of me as a Pirates fan, like not really liking the Brewers, like wants to see them fail, but another part of me is like, it does feel like the fans deserve it. It is a dedicated fan base, and being a smaller market team I want to see them do well, but they gotta kind of get their bearings again because they have sputtered a little bit.
I would
Um,
say they're mid market, but yeah,
well, I'm saying
I
I
agree with
meant
you.
smaller market than the L.A. and Philly is what I
Well, yeah,
was
well,
referring to.
yeah. Here's my question for you guys: do you see either of the top two wild card teams making a splash in
I
the
mean,
Um,
like in the
postseason?
playoffs.
Yes, yes.
San,
Let's see how things line up.
I mean, looking at it now, I always like San Diego. Like San Diego into the playoffs, like they put up a fight, and
They turn
that
it on, especially against the
yeah.
Dodgers. They turn it on.
Like I fear the Padres more than I fear the Cubs.
I
And
don't like the Padres offense.
I just think they have that pedigree about them. And again, like a lot of their core guys are still there where they have this fight about them. Like yes,
But
it has
last year they had the fight, and then all of a sudden, Game 4 that shut off. Like
yeah.
a lot of people, you could argue, like going into that series versus the Dodgers, thought that the Padres were going to be the ones. I think John, you flat out said the Padres were the Dodgers' daddies. Um, and I mean, it looked like it was going to be the case. And then when I say that offense shut down in Game 4. And this season, that offense is worse, and it really hasn't gotten that much better. I mean, yes, they're in the second half, they're more middle of the pack offensively than bottom, but still.
I
I
think they have two clutch guys that they got from Baltimore that will serve them well in the postseason. That
One
is
maybe, the other nay.
that is Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn. I just got a feeling they're gonna come out here. They're gonna come up with clutch hits in the postseason.
I don't know how to explain this other than how I'm going to. Like, and maybe it's because I'm not watching the Padres as much with them being a West Coast team, but unlike other teams, like when the Padres play in the playoffs, like they feel like a different team than they are in the regular season. I don't really know how to
Mediocre.
explain it.
You
No,
were
but
correct.
like they just have this edge about them in the playoffs that like always feels like that they're in it. And
Well,
I
that's
think it's
partially
purely
because
it's
they
a
just need
Padres
that
versus
click.
Dodgers thing. I think it's just
yeah, I
Padres
think so
versus
too.
Dodgers.
They always seem to play the Dodgers. Will's right.
Yeah.
Like it always seems to happen no matter what. So it's like,
Like
you
22,
know,
yeah, they beat the after they beat the Mets, and the Mets were the favorite in that series because they were a 100-win team. And then after that, they were facing the Dodgers, and that was the big thing when they beat the Dodgers there. Then they got pretty much handled by the Phillies in the NLCS. They didn't make the postseason in 23 and last year in 24, as we said. They had it, and then they gave it away the last 2 games.
Yeah,
I just think that in the end, the Padres team has the experience, but they don't have the fight to go all the way. I think the specific fight that you are seeing that I agree with is strictly a Dodgers thing.
Is it like the Brewers in the sense that they have this mental hump that they got to get over, and until we see it, we can't
I don't
really
know
say
about a mental
otherwise?
hump, but it's maybe the lack of the mental ability to go to the next level.
Mm.
It's
I mean-
almost as if their entire season hangs on a series against the Dodgers and not getting to the World
Which,
Series.
man, as a unbiased fan, those are a great series. I love when the Dodgers play the Padres. It's
They
awesome.
are very entertaining.
Honestly, one of the I know Red Sox Yankees are always the rivalry, but that rivalry, Dodgers Padres is a good one. Like it's
Honestly,
serious.
in the modern era, Dodgers Padres is almost a bigger rivalry for the Dodgers than Giants Dodgers is. And
Yeah,
that's the historic rivalry between
I would
those two
say
teams.
nowadays the Dodgers Padres rivalry is bigger than the Red Sox Yankees.
I agree.
Ooh,
I agree.
that's a hot take.
I think
Well,
I
the Red
said
Sox
this.
Yankees was really a 2000s thing. Like that when it
Yeah.
was like really spicy and like primetime TV. It hasn't been anywhere near that
Yeah,
hot in like over a decade.
that's
That's because back then you had
It could come back though, given the way the teams are nowadays, and we might get that in a sense in the wild card series when it looks like they're going to face one another.
that could reignite some things. That's for sure.
No, that is definitely. But right now, I'd say that the Padres and Dodgers are bigger than the other rivalry.
I don't know how it would have to happen. I guess this would be
they
like
would have to meet in the championship series.
Yeah, I was gonna say
if everything holds as it is.
The Dodgers and Padres.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it has to be NLCS. Yes. Unless the Padres just like decide to lose like 7 straight and then they take the 6th seed.
Yeah,
but
then it's a wild card series, and that's not as fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all we really have to talk about with the NL side. A lot obviously happening. Thank you, Mets, for making some not meaningless, some meaningful September baseball happening here.
In their case, it might be meaningless.
But it's made
one man's
it's made
trash is another man's trash.
But yeah, we will have the AL video of this coming out next for our next video. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But if you want to follow us on Twitter and look out for us on our socials, you can follow us on Twitter at BL_breakdowns, Big League Breakdowns everywhere else. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel for more, and we will see you next time.
Wear your seatbelt in New York because the Mets are dookie.